You ever met someone who gave you a bad feeling, but you couldn't quite put your finger on why? Maybe they smiled, spoke politely, even acted like they cared, yet something felt off. I hate to break it to you, but some people wear masks, and if you're not careful, you might mistake a wolf for a sheep. The truth is, bad people, truly dangerous individuals, leave behind red flags. Subtle at first, but undeniable once you know what to look for. Today, I'm going to give you 7 undeniable signs that you're dealing with a bad person. And by the end of this, you'll never second guess your instincts again. Let's get into it. Have you ever met someone who just refuses to take responsibility? No matter what happens, no matter how obvious their role in the situation, they always find a way to shift the blame. Their boss is out to get them. Their ex was crazy. Their failures? Just bad luck. It's never their fault, never their mistake, never their problem to fix. And yet, everywhere they go, chaos follows. People get hurt, bridges burn, lives get disrupted, and still, they remain blind to their own destructive patterns. It's infuriating, isn't it? Because responsibility is not just about admitting fault, it's about owning your choices, your actions, your outcomes. It's about stepping up and saying, yes, that was me, I did that, I could have done better. That takes courage, that takes character. And some people, they refuse to carry that weight. Instead, they unload it onto others. They blame, they deflect, they twist the narrative so convincingly that you almost start to wonder if maybe, just maybe, it really wasn't their fault. But deep down, you know better. There was a CEO who drove his company straight into bankruptcy. Thousands of employees lost their jobs, families suffered. When confronted about his failures, he didn't own up to his poor leadership, his reckless spending, his bad decisions. Instead, he blamed market conditions. He accused his employees of being disloyal. Not once did he acknowledge his role in the collapse of the company. That's not just irresponsible, that's dangerous. Because here's the truth. When someone refuses to take responsibility, they are telling you who they are. They are showing you that they will never be held accountable for the pain they cause. They are making it clear that no matter what happens, they will always find a way to make you the villain and themselves the victim. And the people who refuse to see their own flaws are the ones most capable of causing real harm. Think about it. When a person won't admit their mistakes, they never grow, they never change, and worse, they force everyone around them to bear the weight of their consequences. Maybe you've had a friend like this. Maybe it was a boss, a coworker, a family member. Maybe you've been caught in the cycle, apologizing for things that weren't your fault, cleaning up messes you didn't make, bending over backward to avoid conflict because you know deep down that no matter what, they will never say those 3 simple words, I was wrong. And let's be honest, sometimes it's tempting to be that person because admitting fault, that's hard. Saying, I messed up, feels uncomfortable. It forces you to face your own imperfections. It requires humility. It demands that you look in the mirror and acknowledge that you're not always the hero of the story. But you know what? That's where real power is. That's where real change happens. When you own your choices, you take back control. You stop making excuses. You stop blaming others. You stop running from reality. And in doing so, you become someone who can be trusted, someone who learns, someone who grows. Bad people don't change because they never believe they need to. They stay stuck, trapped in their own delusion, repeating the same toxic patterns over and over again. And if you're not careful, you get dragged into their web. Because people who refuse to take responsibility will always find someone else to carry the blame. And often, that person is the one closest to them. Maybe that's been you. Maybe you've been the one making excuses for them, covering for them, just hoping that one day they'll finally wake up and see what they're doing. But they won't. Not unless they choose to, and most of them never do. So what do? You get out. You stop waiting for them to change. You stop believing their excuses. You stop carrying burdens that aren't yours to carry. And most importantly, you commit fully, completely to never becoming that person yourself. You hold yourself to a higher standard. You admit when you're wrong. You take responsibility for your life, for your actions, for your future. Because the moment you do, you separate yourself from the people who never will. And that is the greatest power you will ever have. So the next time someone dodges responsibility like it's a bullet, pay attention, watch them closely, and then run the other way, fast. There's a kind of person who never outright asks for what they want. Instead, they pull strings from behind the scenes, subtly twisting reality, shaping your perception, making you question yourself. They don't make demands, they plant seeds. And before you know it, you're doing exactly what they want, believing it was your idea all along. Ever had that one friend who disappears for months until they need something? They reappear, all charm and warmth, like they never left. "I've missed you so much," they say, their voice dripping with nostalgia. And just as you're soaking in the warmth of rekindled connection, they slip in the real reason they called. They need a ride, a favor, a loan. Suddenly you realize the conversation was never about you. It was never about reconnecting. It was about what they could get from you. And yet you still say yes, because you don't want to be the bad friend, because their words make you feel like you owe them something. That's not generosity. That's manipulation. And it doesn't just happen in friendships. We see it in workplaces all the time. The boss who dangles just enough praise to keep you running in circles, working late nights, sacrificing weekends, believing a promotion is right around the corner. They never promise it outright, they imply it. "You're doing such incredible work. Keep this up and I see big things ahead for you." So, you push harder, give more. And when that promotion never comes, when the reward never materializes, they have an excuse. It's just not the right time. Corporate has other priorities. But don't worry, they say, just keep going, keep giving, because they know that as long as they feed you scraps of hope, you'll keep building their empire while your own dreams collect dust. And let's talk about family. Because if there's one place where manipulation thrives, it's in the people closest to us. The mother who guilt trips her daughter into choices that serve her own needs, not her child's. The father who uses disappointment like a weapon, the sibling who plays the victim in every situation, making you the bad guy just for setting boundaries. They say things like, "After all I've done for you," or "You know how much this means to me," turning love into leverage. They expect compliance not out of respect but out of obligation, out of the fear of being labeled ungrateful, selfish, or unloving. Here's the hard truth. If someone's words don't match their actions, trust the action. People can say all the right things. They can craft the perfect apology. They can make promises that sound so convincing you want to believe them with every fiber of your being. But words mean nothing without action. If someone tells you they love you but constantly disrespects your time, your boundaries, your emotions, that's not love. If someone claims to support you but never shows up when you need them, that's not support. If someone says they value you but only calls when they need something, they don't value you. They value what you can do for them. And once you start recognizing this pattern, it changes everything. Because manipulation only works when you don't see it for what it is. It thrives in the shadows, in the space between words and reality. But the moment you call it out, the moment you say, "I see what you're doing and I won't play along," that's the moment you take back your power. So what do you do when you realize you're being manipulated? You stop explaining yourself. Because manipulators love making you defend your choices, your boundaries, your gut instincts. The more you explain, the more they twist your words, making you doubt yourself. Stop playing their game. You don't owe anyone a debate about your own well-being. You set boundaries, and you stick to them. A manipulator will test you. They will push, prod, guilt trip, charm, anything to get you back under their control. But a boundary isn't real unless you enforce it. Saying no once is easy. Saying no every time, despite the pressure, despite the guilt, that's where your strength is tested. You pay attention to patterns, not apologies. Because a manipulator will always say the right thing after they've hurt you. They'll promise to change, they'll tell you they didn't mean it. But change isn't in what they say, it's in what they do. If the behavior repeats, the apology was meaningless. And most importantly, you stop waiting for them to be different. You stop hoping that one day they'll wake up and realize the damage they've done, that they'll suddenly start valuing you the way you've valued them. Because the truth is, some people will never change, not because they can't, but because the way they operate benefits them. They don't see a problem with it, and the longer you wait for them to become who you wish they were, the more time you waste. So today, I want you to ask yourself, who in your life is using manipulation to get what they want? Who makes you feel like you owe them something? Who constantly takes but rarely gives? And more importantly, what are you going to do about it? Because your life is too short to be controlled by people who only see you as a means to an end. Your energy is too valuable to be drained by those who will never pour back into you, and your worth is not measured by how much you sacrifice for people who wouldn't do the same for you. So take a step back, take a deep breath, and take back your power. A good person feels the pain of others. They recognize suffering, and even if they can't fix it, they acknowledge it. They offer a kind word, a moment of understanding, a sign that they see you. A bad person? They don't just turn away from suffering. They dismiss it. They minimize it. They make you feel like you are weak for even expressing it. Ever had a moment when you opened up to someone, really let them in, only to be met with a shrug? Maybe you poured your heart out expecting support, only to hear something cold and dismissive like, "Everyone's got problems." That's not a busy person. That's not a person who just doesn't have time. That's a person who lacks heart. And when a person lacks heart, they lack the very thing that makes us human. There was a woman who once confided in her boss about her struggles with anxiety. She wasn't looking for special treatment, just understanding. She needed to know that the person leading her, the person she gave her time and energy to, saw her as more than just a cog in a machine. And how did he respond? Toughen up, you're not the only one with stress. That's not strength, that's not leadership. That's a warning sign. That's a red flag waving in the wind, screaming, this person doesn't care. And here's the truth about people who don't care. If they can watch others suffer and feel nothing, they are capable of anything. People who lack empathy can hurt others without remorse. They can manipulate, deceive, and exploit without a second thought. They can make you believe you're the problem when, in reality, it's their absence of compassion that poisons everything around them. But the real danger? You don't always see them coming. They don't announce their lack of empathy. They don't walk into your life with a flashing sign that says, "I don't care about you." Instead, they wear masks. They learn just enough of the right words to seem supportive. They nod at the right times. They pretend to understand until one day, when you truly need them, when you are vulnerable, the mask slips and you realize they were never really listening. They were just waiting for their turn to speak. You see this in relationships, in friendships, in families, in workplaces. You see it in leaders who ignore the suffering of their people. You see it in colleagues who step over others just to get ahead. You see it in people who hear your pain and respond not with kindness, but with dismissal. But make no mistake, empathy isn't just about grand gestures. It's not about big showy acts of kindness. It's in the small moments. It's in the way someone looks at you when you say you're struggling. It's in the way they respond when you need them. It's in their ability to sit with your pain without trying to downplay it. Because real empathy isn't about fixing everything. It's about making sure people don't feel alone. Think about the people in your life. When you tell them you're struggling, how do they respond? Do they acknowledge your pain? Do they listen, even if they don't have a solution? Or do they brush it off? Do they make you feel like you're overreacting? Do they make you feel weak for feeling at all? Because here's the thing. If someone consistently dismisses your feelings, if they make you feel like you're a burden for expressing your emotions, they are showing you who they really are, and you need to believe them. Now, some people will say, well, some people just aren't emotional. Some people just aren't good at expressing support. That's an excuse. You don't have to be an emotional person to be a decent human being. You don't have to have all the right words to simply say, I hear you. You don't have to fix someone's problems to care that they exist. Basic human decency doesn't require a degree in psychology. It requires heart. And the absence of heart, that's not just a character flaw, it's a warning sign. It's the thing that separates the people who build others up from the people who tear them down. It's the thing that determines whether someone will stand beside you in the storm or leave you to drown. So if you've ever had someone make you feel like your pain doesn't matter, if you've ever had someone respond to your struggles with cold indifference, know this: that is not a reflection of you, that is a reflection of them. That is their failure, not yours. And the sooner you recognize that, the sooner you can stop expecting water from a well that's been dry all along. Because the truth is, people who lack empathy don't just fail you in small moments. They fail you in big ones too. When you need them the most, they won't be there. When you're struggling, they won't reach out. When you're in pain, they'll make you feel like it's your fault for feeling it all. And you deserve better than that. You deserve people who see you. You deserve people who listen. You deserve people who care. And if someone in your life can't meet that basic standard, they don't deserve the privilege of being in your life at all. Some people move through life like a quiet breeze, bringing warmth and calm wherever they go. Others, however, are storms in disguise, bringing destruction and confusion, leaving wreckage behind them. These are the ones who thrive on drama and chaos, and if you're not careful, they will pull you into their storm before you even realize the skies have darkened. You know them, you've met them, maybe they were a so-called friend, a coworker, a family member, or even someone you once trusted with your heart. At first, they seem harmless. They wear a mask of concern, of care, of companionship. They whisper secrets in the shadows, pretending they are confiding in you because you matter to them. They tell you stories, long and winding, about how others have wronged them, how they have suffered, how they have been betrayed. And just when you begin to believe them, just when you lower your guard, they twist the knife in your back. It starts small. Maybe you share something personal, a private thought, a struggle, a dream, and the next thing you know, whispers follow you down the hall. Eyes linger a little too long. People who once treated you with respect suddenly look at you as if they know something they shouldn't. You wonder what changed, where the shift happened, and then it hits you. Someone you trusted has turned your truth into currency, traded your pain for a few moments of attention, and when you confront them, when you ask them why, they don't apologize. No, they play the role of the innocent, the concerned, the victim. They say, "I was just worried about you," or "I didn't mean to hurt you," or the worst one of all, "I was only trying to help." But the truth is, they were never trying to help. They were feeding on the chaos. These people are not just messy, they are dangerous. Because they don't just live in chaos, they create it. They weave webs of deception, turning friends into enemies, planting seeds of doubt, watching as their carefully designed storms tear through the lives of others. They are addicted to the thrill of control, to the rush of watching people scramble in the wake of their destruction. And the more they see others struggle, the more powerful they feel. And yet it's easy to dismiss them, to give them the benefit of the doubt, because that's what good people do. Good people want to believe that others have good intentions. Good people want to believe in second chances and the possibility of change. And that's why good people get hurt, because they see the best in people who don't deserve it. But listen to me. Your kindness is not a weakness. Your empathy is not a flaw. It is your strength, your power, your light. And that's exactly why they come for you, because they see in you what they will never be. And if they can't be like you, they will do everything they can to bring you down to their level. You must protect your peace like it is the most valuable thing in the world, because it is. You must guard your energy, your heart, your mind. You must recognize the signs early, before the storm takes hold. The backhanded compliments, the sudden shifts in loyalty, the way they are always in the center of every conflict but somehow never at fault. Pay attention, because once they show you who they are, believe them. Distance yourself, walk away, cut the cord. And when they come back with their apologies, their justifications, their excuses, remember this: people who thrive on chaos don't change, they just find new victims. Don't let it be you, because your life is too valuable, your time too precious, your heart too pure to be wasted on those who only know destruction. Choose peace. Choose growth. Choose people who lift you up, who celebrate your victories, who want the best for you, not because it benefits them, but because they genuinely love and respect you. You are not here to be someone's entertainment, to be the fuel for their fire, to be a character in their drama. You are here to build, to rise, to thrive. And the moment you refuse to participate in their chaos is the moment you take your power back. Stand firm, protect your peace, and never ever let someone else's storm become your own. There are people in this world who wear masks so well, so convincingly, that you wouldn't recognize their true face even if it stared you down. They walk among us, seamlessly blending into our lives, our friendships, our workplaces, even our families. And at their core, they are masters of deception. You've seen them. Maybe you've even fallen for their charm, their calculated kindness, their carefully rehearsed lines. And why wouldn't you? They're experts at making you feel like you belong, like you matter, like they have your best interests at heart. But behind that well-polished facade is something dangerous. Because for them, lying is not just an act, it's a way of life, a weapon, a means to an end. They don't just tell lies, they craft them. Every sentence, every gesture, every expression is designed to manipulate, to disarm you, to make you question yourself. Have you ever caught someone in a lie, confronted them, and somehow walked away feeling like you were the one who got it wrong? That's not an accident. That's their skill. It's their power. And it's exactly what makes them so dangerous. Con artists, for example, don't simply lie. They create entire reality. They make you believe in something that doesn't exist only to pull the rug out from under you when it serves them. And the worst part, they don't feel guilt, not an ounce. If anything, they feel pride. They watch as you unravel, as you question everything you thought was real, and they take satisfaction in knowing they were the ones who pulled the strings. This isn't just about the big dramatic cons. It's about the small lies too, the ones that slip past your defenses before you even realize what's happened. The coworker who takes credit for your work but spins a story so believable that you start wondering if maybe you really didn't do as much as you thought. The friend who always seems to be the victim, who twists every situation until you're the one apologizing. The partner who tells you what you want to hear even as their actions scream a different truth. And what makes these people so successful? They understand something fundamental about human nature. We want to believe. We want to trust. We want to see the good in people. And they use that against us. They know that if they say the right words in the right tone at the right moment, we will silence our doubts. We will rationalize. We will give them the benefit of the doubt, even when every fiber of our being tells us not to. That is their power. That is how they win. But let me tell you something. They only win if you let them. Because there's something even more powerful than their deception, your awareness. The moment you see them for what they are, their spell begins to break. The moment you stop explaining away the inconsistencies, the moment you trust your instincts, they lose their grip. It's not easy. When you care about someone, when you've invested time and energy into a relationship, whether personal or professional, it's painful to accept that it was built on lies. It's easier to ignore the red flags, to pretend you didn't notice, to tell yourself, maybe I'm overreacting, maybe they didn't mean it that way. But deep down, you know the truth. A person who lies without hesitation is capable of much worse. Because deception isn't just about words, it's about intent. It's about control. It's about power. And someone who is willing to manipulate the truth so easily is also willing to manipulate you. So what do? How do you protect yourself? First, you listen to that voice inside you, the one that whispers, something isn't right. The one that nudges you when their story doesn't add up, when their actions don't align with their words. That voice is your greatest weapon, and it's there for a reason. Trust it. Second, you stop giving endless chances. You stop waiting for them to change. You stop assuming that if you just love them enough, if you just work harder, if you just explain it better, they'll finally understand. They won't, because they don't want to. This isn't about misunderstanding. This isn't about ignorance. This is about choice, and they have chosen to deceive. Third, you set boundaries and you enforce them. You don't explain yourself. You don't negotiate with liars. You don't give them more opportunities to twist your reality. You walk away. And if you can't walk away completely, because sometimes life doesn't make that easy, you put up walls so high that their lies can't reach you. And finally, you remember this. Just because they fooled you once doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're human. It means you have something they don't. Trust, empathy, integrity, and that is nothing to be ashamed of. That is something to protect. So today I challenge you, take a look at the people in your life. Who consistently makes you doubt yourself? Who twists reality in their favor? Who lies without hesitation, without guilt, without remorse? You already know who they are. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Look around at the people in your life. Really look. The ones you trust, the ones you lean on, the ones who would show up at 2 a.m. if you called, no questions asked. That kind of friendship doesn't just happen. It takes time. It takes effort. It takes a level of loyalty that is built through shared experiences, through the highs and lows, through the moments when you're at your best, and more importantly, when you're at your worst. True friendships are like a foundation, solid, unshakable, built brick by brick over time. But not everyone understands that. Not everyone values it. Because some people, bad people, don't have genuine friendships at all. They go through friends like they go through outfits, swapping them out the moment they don't fit anymore. They aren't looking for connection, they're looking for convenience. And if you're in their life, you're not an exception. You're just another piece in their ever-rotating game. You ever notice how some people always seem to have a new best friend? How one day they're inseparable, glued to each other's side, swearing loyalty, and the next they've moved on like that person never existed? It's not coincidence, it's a pattern. Because, for them, people aren't people. They're stepping stones, temporary placeholders, disposable napkins meant to be used and discarded. And when you pay attention, you'll see it for what it is. Think about someone in your life who cycles through friendships like it's a seasonal trend. How many times have you watched them form instant, intense relationships, ones where they claim they finally found someone who gets them, only for it to crash and burn just as quickly? And what's the common denominator? It's never them, right? At least that's what they want you to believe. It's always the other person. The betrayal, the drama, the falling out. They'll tell you the story with such conviction, painting themselves as the victim, making sure you know just how terribly they've been wronged. But if you step back, if you really take in the pattern, you start to see the truth. It's not bad luck. It's not just how life goes. It's who they are. Because real friendships don't work that way. Real friendships can withstand distance, disagreement, and even hurt. They require work, patience, and a willingness to see each other's flaws without running the moment things aren't easy. When someone is incapable of maintaining long-term relationships, when they leave a trail of broken connections behind them, it's not because they just haven't found the right people. It's because they are the problem. If you've ever been in a friendship with someone like this, you know how intoxicating it can be at first. They make you feel special, chosen, like you're the only one who truly understands them. But that's part of the game, because as quickly as they build you up, they'll tear you down. The moment you stop serving a purpose, the moment you stop fueling their ego or providing the validation they crave, you'll see exactly how little you ever meant to them. And it hurts, because you thought it was real, you thought you mattered. And here's the thing, you do matter, but not to them. And that's the hard truth that so many of us struggle to face. We make excuses, we believe the lies. We tell ourselves that maybe this time will be different, that maybe we can be the one person they don't discard. But deep down, we already know the answer, because if they've done it before, they'll do it again. And if you're standing in their circle, waiting for the day they turn on you, you're already next in line. So what do? You choose better. You stop ignoring the patterns. You stop justifying behavior that deep down you know isn't okay. You stop giving chances to people who have already shown you who they are, and most importantly, you start valuing yourself enough to walk away. Because life is too short to waste time on people who don't see you as more than just another temporary fixture in their lives. You deserve friendships that are built on trust. You deserve people who stand by you, not just when it's easy, but when it's hard. You deserve connections that aren't based on convenience, but on real, unwavering loyalty. And you will find those friendships if you stop holding on to the ones that were never real in the first place. You know that feeling, right? That deep gut-level exhaustion after spending time with someone? The kind where your body feels heavier, your mind cloudier, and your heart just a little dimmer. It's like you've run a marathon, but all you did was listen. All you did was try to help, and yet it feels like they took a piece of you with them when they left. Let me tell you something. That feeling isn't random. It's not a coincidence. It's your intuition screaming at you, trying to protect you, trying to warn you that something is off. But too often we ignore it. We push it down. We tell ourselves, I'm just being dramatic. I'm just being sensitive. No, you're not. You're recognizing something real, someone who is feeding off you. I once knew a man who had a coworker like this. You know the type, always in crisis, always needing help. At first, he thought he was being a good friend, a good person. He listened, he helped, he stayed late to cover for them, he gave them advice, lent them money, reassured them, problem solved for them. And at first, it felt good. It felt like he was making a difference. But then, something shifted. No matter how much he gave, it was never enough. No matter how much he did, the moment he stopped, just for a second, he became the bad guy. The coworker turned cold, distant, angry, started making snide comments, guilt-tripping him, making him feel selfish for setting even the smallest boundary. And here's what he realized. This person wasn't looking for help. They were looking for a host, someone to siphon energy from, someone to make them feel important, seen, validated. But it was never mutual, never reciprocal. It was always a one-way street. I need you to hear me on this. If someone consistently leaves you drained, that's not normal. That's not friendship. That's not love. That's not kindness. That's a one-sided transaction where you give and they take. Think about it. Have you ever been in a conversation where the moment you start talking about yourself, their eyes glaze over? Where your struggles, your worries, your life don't seem to matter, but the second they start talking about themselves, they expect your full attention, they demand your energy, and if you don't give it, they punish you with guilt, silence, or even anger. That's not connection, that's control. And I get it, I really do. You want to be a good person, you want to be kind, you don't want to let people down. But hear me loud and clear. Kindness does not mean self-sacrifice. Being a good person does not mean being an emotional dumping ground. And love? Love is not draining. Love is energizing. Real connection fills you up. It doesn't leave you empty. So what do? How do you protect yourself? First, you have to listen to your body. Your exhaustion is not just physical, it's emotional, mental, and even spiritual. If you consistently feel drained after being around someone, take that as a serious red flag. Your body knows what your heart is too kind to admit. Second, you have to set boundaries. And I know that word makes some of you uncomfortable because you've been taught that saying no is mean, that prioritizing yourself is selfish, that putting up walls means shutting people out, but that's not true. Boundaries are not walls, they are gates. And you, my friend, get to decide who walks through them. A boundary might be as simple as limiting your time with someone. Maybe you stop picking up the phone every time they call. Maybe you stop letting them unload all their problems on you without ever asking about yours. Maybe you start protecting your energy, your space, your heart. And let me tell you, when you do this, some people won't like it. They'll resist. They'll push back. They'll try to guilt you, manipulate you, make you feel like you're the problem. Because the moment you stop being their endless source of energy, they feel it. And they don't like it. But listen to me. Their reaction is not your responsibility. You are not here to be drained. You are not here to be used. You are not here to carry the weight of someone else's unhealed wounds. You are here to shine, to thrive, to be surrounded by people who lift you up, not weigh you down. To be in relationships that are balanced, mutual, and nourishing. So I'm going to ask you something, and I want you to really think about it. Who in your life is draining you? Who, when you see their name pop up on your phone, makes your stomach drop? Who, when you spend time with them, leaves you feeling worse instead of better? You already know the answer. And now it's time to act on it. Because your energy, your peace, your joy, they are worth protecting. And anyone who truly loves you, anyone who truly respects you, will honor the boundaries you set. And those who don't, they were never for you in the first place. Now, let's be clear. Everyone makes mistakes. We've all been selfish. We've all had bad moments. But bad people, these behaviors aren't moments, they're patterns. So, what do? You set boundaries. You trust your instincts. You protect your energy. Because once you recognize these signs, you can't unsee them. And the next time someone shows you who they truly are, go leave them.